Hey there, so let's just get right into this one. This one's actually going to be a pretty long video for just a single war. I end up taking 10 fights in this one. I don't know what made my officer decide it, but he decided to give me like a really fun war with a lot of fights in this one. A lot of interesting fights as well. Not necessarily the Quake ones, but I mean, hey, getting hit always makes it more interesting, right? Guess that's fun. But yeah, so I end up taking 10 fights this war, which is a lot of fun because, you know, the more fights you get, the more fun it always is. At least for me. I enjoy taking as many as I can. This Sasquatch fight, other than that first hit that I took, it goes pretty well. I get off some aftershocks while he's in Wrath mode, so I do decent damage. It's that same Sasquatch on Path 3's Node 1 with the armor node, and if he has an armor, you take a shock. So it's just easy and safe to Quake it. You're never going to really touch him with an armor, and you're not touching him 10 times to give him an armor up anyway. So it's pretty easy with her. You're just sitting there for like 2 and a bit minutes because it's Quake on Sasquatch. It's just a lot of health, even if you boost fairly big. But I end up having a fairly interesting fight this war with Quake. It's not really the full fight is interesting, it's more the beginning. I'll point it out when we get there. But yeah, I was really excited when my officer sent out the assignments and I just noticed that like my name kept popping up on the assignment sheet. So I also was the guy getting like taxied in pre-fights in this war, which was like really strange. Someone got me up to both of these and he placed a white mags for me on that Mole Man. I go in with a Doom, so I have the white Magneto pre-fight works if you're a hero for anyone, or anyone with the metal tag, which Doom's suit is fully metal, so you know, obviously he works for that. So it allows Doom to have a passive stun, so it just makes him very, very safe for Mole Man here. Mutants are obviously very good for him, like Apocalypse, AA, and stuff like that, but Doom does the trick just fine here. It's a pretty easy fight. No staggers really, unless I like deliberately throw a heavy, as I think I do right here, because when he throws a special, he's going to get an armor up. So I might as well take advantage of Mystic Dispersion, which I have at 4 out of 5 right now. And in my opinion, honestly, even without the pre-fight, Doom is actually very good for Mole Man, because whenever he gets a shock, whenever he gets something that he's immune to or shrugs off, he gains monster mass. So if you like parry, he shrugs that off, and then if you throw a full 5-hit combo, you give him 2 shocks. So you get like 3 per combo. It's pretty easy to get him into, I can't remember, it's Frenzy, I think is its name, to where you can just parry him and he can't shrug it off. I throw the SP3, it does decent damage, 23,000, but the armor on him is like decently strong. I'm not going to get a full Doom cycle off here because of Power Focus 2, it makes it very hard to get him to up to SP3, but I don't really need it as Doom once he has that Fury, hits very hard anyway. And I have another Purgatory fight with Quake this season. As I mentioned in the last one, I really love her design and just like the general like feel about her, but they need to buff her. She's one of those champions. Desperately needs it. It's a pretty boring fight. It's strike counter Fury, so I have to make sure I don't drop heavies or else it gets sketchy like that Green Goblin from last season. But this fight, I think it goes very well from what I remembered. This war as a whole went fairly well for me, which was very good. There was nothing too crazy in this one. You know, I just made sure I had my boosts on. I used some of the free war-specific boosts that you get that last for 8 hours, so I was able to take it a lot on like only a couple boosts, which was very nice because I don't have the most boosts because I don't like buy too many units or anything. All my units are basically just from the arena, so I try not to buy too many like boosts if I don't need to, but I have the free ones. But like something like Penny Parker here, it's a very, look at that, like 230,000 health. Quake does about like, at max, let's say 30,000 on an aftershock. So you're looking at almost 10 sets of that. And with this node with backup recovery, she would gain power, but when they go past 50% health, if you have an ability accuracy reduction that prevents it, they heal. So this Penny Parker gains another like 20% health in this fight. So I basically have to go through like 10 full cycles of Quake. It's an over 3-minute Quake fight. It's very, very boring. So I'm going to talk about something else for a bit. I have an account tour video that I'm working on right now. I'm not exactly sure, like, if people quite like those anymore, but I always found it fun getting to like just look at other people's accounts, see the decisions and the reasons behind those decisions. I also should have a couple level up videos coming soon, possibly, in like champion showcases. I've just been really focused on like getting out all these war videos because I feel like right now in the state of the game, war is like the most interesting thing. I guess right now, currently, map 8 might be slightly more interesting just because this AW map as a whole hasn't had a change in a year and 3/4 now, almost a year and a half. But the AQ map is brand new with brand new champs and nodes. I'm curious if you guys are liking your map 8 run so far. I'm really liking my path. Right now I'm waiting on someone else to clear a fight that I can't really take with the champs I brought. So I'm just waiting on them while recording this video. So then this is path 4 in section 2, which if you haven't taken it before, if you have debuffs on you, they go unblockable. Which the idea behind putting Invisible Woman here is that whenever you remove her force field you get exhaustions, but Quake ignores that like Quake does. And back when I ran map 6, I quaked the Invisible Woman mini-boss a lot. I used to be good at timing my concussions to remove her force field, but if you noticed it wasn't that good. But something not everyone realizes, I guess, about Invisible Woman is that Quake actually gets a damage bonus against her, which isn't something you can say about Quake for most fights when she doesn't have her force field, or is it all the time? I don't remember exactly. She has like minus 1,000 physical resistance or something, so Quake deals a lot of extra damage actually, which speeds up this fight a lot. I end up just going for a couple hits at the end because there's only a couple percent. Someone taxied me again. I have to use Quake again, but like those potions and revives, I have so many in the overflow. I've been just selling them like crazy because last season was Quake and Deathless, so I didn't have to use too many items. So I just had like a ton recently in the overflow. This fight against Airwalker, it's the same thing with Unblockable. This node used to not have that heal block debuff, but now you always start with the 1 debuff, so it's a bit more annoying now, but Doom is very, very good for Airwalker because as long as Airwalker doesn't throw an SP1, or is it a Doom? I can't remember right now. But Airwalker usually applies armor breaks, which those will stack pretty quick, but Dr. Doom obviously doesn't have, or has armor break immunity. And now with this season we had High Ground introduced, or not introduced, but like it came back to the forefront. And a lot of people have been really critical of Doom being used for High Ground, thinking it's not a great matchup. But if you really look at it, you just have to do a light starting combo and not throw your medium, which has your shock, which speeds up the timer, until the end of your combo. So you're just going for a light, medium into the heavy straight away, so the shock doesn't really stay on them long. And then once you're in the actual Doom cycle, your damage is high enough that like it doesn't matter. I just threw an SP1 into the air, but I get a single crit, so it kills him pretty easily. And then I also get another mini-boss here, and so I have 5 energy, and I'm scheduled to take all the mini-bosses up the left side of the island. And I wish my officer had actually let me use my energy in a slightly different way. It would have made it work better. But for this, I did all of this from like penny up, like back to back basically. I did the penny, someone else cleared those 2 mini bosses in between, and then I went straight into my path into these mini bosses. So it was all like just a long big back to back war, so I had to make sure I had some time in the middle of the day to do this. If you noticed right there, I was fishing for a light intercept with Doom. I want to get the armor break on as quick as I can, so that way he doesn't have his helmet, so he gains less gas over the entire fight. So I'm just going in. At this point, it's a pretty easy Doom fight. I'm just going to put on my armor breaks. I'm going to re-parry a lot, baiting out heavies and trying to get up to my SP3 around when he gets to SP3 as well, which I do a good job of. I time it, so I use that heavy there, so I get more power than him. I go in. I want to try to get intercepts off before this SP3, so it kills so it does like 50% of his health basically, but I'm not able to, so I believe I end up having to go for a double Fury rotation here, which isn't something I typically go for in War, as ever since I rank 3'd my Dr. Doom, his damage was like always more than enough. Even like throwing an SP2 sometimes was overkill, or was actually always overkill. So I get him to SP2, I get my SP3, I just do a couple hits. I try to wait out the aura timer as long as I can sometimes, just try to mid-max it a little bit, get extra time out of the Fury. I was able to get in a couple extra hits that if you're a little bit more afraid of, you might not really go for. But now that I have 2 Furies, even with the damage reduction, I hit a 6k crit on a medium, my SP1, which does no damage. And then if you time your special attacks when he jumps in at you, it counts as a special attack, and Doom's unblockable, so it's really safe and easy to do that. So if you notice, Dark Pontus is my officer. Fernando is a really nice guy. He was reminding me to throw on a Power Start 1 boost, so I throw it on. I should have done this afterwards, and then I go and check his abilities, because the way Psycho Man works is on attack you have to like end in a light attack, but on defense every time you gain a bar of power he switches his stance. The stances are block, special, and heavy. This one he starts on his heavy attack, so if you're holding a heavy attack you gain a concussion and he gains power. So you can't really have that with Quake, so what you do, I guess you could go in and like throw combos and stuff until you get up to a bar of power, and then you bait his special and then you start quaking, or you just throw in a Power Start 1 boost, because who doesn't have like 50 of those in overflow right now, and it's a pretty normal Quake fight from there. So this is the Quake fight that I was saying was interesting. Like, it's nothing too crazy, but it is an extra little detail. Like, Quake has almost no like little details to add to the fight other than don't mess up. She's a very linear character to play. You hit heavy, you dash back, you hit heavy, you dash back. But this one at least adds something slightly different to it. And I know the time it takes for me to take Rage, so I'm able to carry the Power Start 1 boost into my next mini-boss, which is against Cosmic Ghost Rider. I was told I could use either of my champions. I decided to go with Doom because, well, he's a lot more fun for me than Quake. I know some people don't like Dr. Doom, but I personally really love that guy. Just very fun for me to play with. So that fight went very smoothly after I just had to use that. And so if you notice, I have 38 minutes left until I get my next energy. I'm not going to show it until after this fight, but I have exactly, I think, 42 minutes at this point left on my boosts. Yeah, look, 40, I do show it actually. Oh, because I didn't carry my advanced power boost. I could have carried it over actually if I had played that smarter. So I have 42 minutes left, and I have 37 minutes left for my next energy. And I was scheduled to take the third boss, and I was like, I don't want to have to reboost like fully again. So I ended up just setting an alarm, or not an alarm, a timer, so that I would just remember to go log back on really quick, and I just took it with the same boosts that I used for all of this, because I actually big boosted for this war. For this Cosmic Ghost Rider, he has the Power Focus 1 Hurt Locker combo again, from that Arcus from the last season. So you just don't want to throw the same special 2 times in a row. I won't really be able to use a standard Doom cycle, but because he has some buffs, actually he won't really be getting any buffs at this point. So when you can't Doom cycle, I like going for a light ending combo, especially at the start. It just allows you to like get more power because you can't really use your SP1 to power drain as well. That SP2, even without any incinerates, does very well. I personally love dexing Cosmic Ghost Rider's SP1. It's such a satisfying one with the 3 beams. When he first came out, I like freaked out when I first saw it. I was like, how do I dex this? And I just took a couple times, because you really want to get good at dexing that because of his unblockable buff. So I've gotten to the point where I can do that pretty confidently. So see, I have 36 minutes, and I have 40 minutes left on my boosts. So I come back in with 3 minutes left on my boost. I think I popped like a Power Start 1 boost, I think is what it showed. Here's a silly thing I did. I was told to bring Mr. Fantastic, mainly for the armor break synergy for that Mysterio fight. It wasn't really required for that, but it definitely makes that fight a lot easier. And ever since Mr. Fantastic's buff, he starts with 4 pre-fights now. And I was told just to place all 3 on the boss, so I was like, well, I guess I have one I can like give myself. So I thought, hey, a Petrify against Vision Arcus. That'll be very, very helpful, won't it? Oh, I put on an invulnerability. That was actually kind of smart, just in case he gets to an SP3, which is very, very easy in this fight, because with Dr. Doom, you power steal a lot, and anytime you power steal a Vision Arcus, he gains an extra one of his power buffs, so you want to be careful with that. But the main strategy is basically you try to outpower gain him with your Sig ability. So I took away his 3 buffs, so then I got 3 buffs. But the issue with that Petrify was it just triggered Vision Arcus's dupe at the very start, and I didn't even think about that. So if you have a Vision Arcus here, remember that if they're duped, Mr. Fantastic buffs or debuffs will not do you basically any good whatsoever. And from here, it's pretty easy. He almost gets back to an SP3 there, but I was able to get there quicker. And as I said in that Mysterio fight, once Doom has 2 Furies at rank 3, I can't wait to get this guy up to rank 4, because like that would just basically kill him right there. At rank 3 it does 50,000 on an SP3, and that'll pretty much be it for this war. He's locked out at this point. So this was a really fun war for me. I played fairly well. There were some mistakes, but overall I think I did very good. And this isn't really something that like matters in like Alliance War, but I didn't show it in the picture here, but I ended up getting the 3rd place MVP, because I think I also got, no, this wasn't the war that I got a defensive kill, but I took 10 fights, so that will usually get you an MVP spot. It's not like anything too massive to get, but it's always fun. It was my first time doing that in Masters. We won this war, not like easily, but they gave up a couple deaths early, and we just weren't dying until like the very end when it was 10-3. So it's what it is. They played very well. GG to Made in Brazil. They're a very solid alliance. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you guys next time.